Alright guys, welcome back to Gilded Gaming and Final Fantasy 14. Whew. We are in the end game of Stormblood. That feels good to say. Hey Claire, how's it going? We're now the Liberator. Having liberated both Girabania and Doma from the Empire. Whew. And now it's time to do some in-game stuff, huh? Hey, Minus, how's it going? We spend the day trying to get VLC to play Blu-rays? Gotcha. How's that working out? I think before we do anything, we need to clear out this inventory. This is becoming an issue. So, let's head over... Let's head over to the store real quick. Sorry, I've been asleep for a while, so I'm a little groggy, but we're working on it. My allergies are kicking my butt today, so I laid down, you know, for a minute, and next thing I know, it's like, hey, it's 8 o'clock. You should really get that stream going, man. Ugh. So instead of having like Vice City or XCOM before Final Fantasy, we're probably gonna do it after. Let's see how it goes. Alright. Let's steal some of this crap. Yeah, Beast Tribe quests? Sure. For that. That. All this low-level material. All that crap. Some of this is for like crafting stuff. Some of this I just have laying around from when I was doing crafting. I'm not gonna mess with that right now. We got at least a bag full. And bag empty, that's good enough for now. Honestly, your bag's filled really slowly in this game. Alright. Go ahead and top off our repairs. Nope, we're good. Okay, good. Sweet. Yeah. Beast Tribe quests, huh? They're not as bad as we have been in the past. I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Alright, so. Is Karanova here? I think we can just go ahead and jump right into working on raids. Have to unlock them though, so we have some quests to go do. Do I have the quest for that? Or do I need to go out there and get the quests for that? Where was that at? We were like on the theater ship. I don't remember. So this is Beast Tribe, I believe. And these two Youngsha ones are Beast Tribe. I'm just gonna get rid of those. I don't want to do the Beast Tribe quests for an expansion that's not current. Heaven Sent. Mechanics will start to step up a bunch in the Stormblood raids. Would you learn better seeing them blind and trying to figure them out? Or would you prefer that you hop on Discord and call out unique mechanics? Probably that you hop on Discord if you don't mind. Sounds more fun. What is the quest we're looking for here? When I have the quest, I have to like go pick up the quest because I didn't pick up the next step in it or whatever. Well, I feel bad figuring them out blind because I'm going to be playing with a group of people that I mostly don't know, and I'm going to be like dying, which is hurting everybody else. You know what I mean? If I was with a group of friends and we were all figuring it out blind together, that'd be one thing. But like, since I'm going to be playing with a whole bunch of people that don't even know me, I'd rather I didn't die more than I had to, you know? Yeah, so Prima Vista. How do we get back to the Prima Vista? Where was that at? Was it from Fugane? Maybe? It feels right. The castle. There's someone down at the docks we could talk to get to the Prima Vista, maybe? It heads out to the Ruby Sea. This goes to Limsa. Goes to Shirogane. Short Pier? Oh, okay. Gotcha. So the mechanics are going to get a lot more complicated, huh? Something to look forward to, I guess. Some more complex, but it's just the quantity being thrown at you at the time. I just passed it, really. This person? There we go. Okay, we figured out how to get back to the Prima Vista. First hard part done. Wasn't it? immediately obvious for someone who has no memory. All right, Ramza. Protagonist theme, background story. Cool. Here we go. Dalmasca is nestled in a forgotten corner of the Empire's outermost territories. I do not foresee any trouble from the standing army, but would suggest committing to memory the locations of each of the barge's exits, just in case. As for the flight itself, currents above Dalmasca are as wild as the land below. You may want to hold on. So, the world map from Final Fantasy XII is in the Empire? That's crazy. Okay. Request accepted. So I've been putting out my XCOM videos, one episode a day, and each episode is one fight, right? There's only like 2 episodes left to come out before it's gonna run dry. We need to get back to playing a little bit of XCOM to get some more stuff on there. Like a couple people that are like watching those every day, and I'm like, I feel bad. It's like they're gonna hit like an end for a while, and I don't do another episode. I'm trying to get all the Nier and Grand Theft Auto stuff up on YouTube too. We'll complete our descent to Rabanastre in the shuttle. Ramza! I thought I made myself clear, Alma. The capital's simply too dangerous. Father would never forgive me if I were to lose you trying to rescue him. Come, we're wasting time. It looks like someone went to paint this and they just like threw some paint at it and then stopped, you know? You just finished Nier Replicant? The new ending E they added is a pain to get to, but it's an amazing conclusion, really. We're gonna keep pushing our way through Nier. It's just, you know, we'll get there. I'm almost to the end of part 1 of ending A, right? Of path A or whatever, route A. You don't have to do part 1 again in the other routes, do you? I think you do part 1 once, I think. Well, that's Rabanastre. It's so weird that they just decided, oh yeah, this is Ivalice. We didn't mention that? Since you don't replay part 1, I've been making sure to try and do all the side quests in part 1. And it is time consuming. According to my father, Rabanastre has already a thriving city some 1,000 years ago. But after performing several private excavations beneath the so-called Desert Sapphire, my father came to the conclusion that it was not the first settlement to stand here. Then your father believes that Rabanastre sits atop the royal city of Lassalia, the capital of Ivalice. Really? But if that's true, it could change history. We'd be famous. Famous? Are you sure you don't mean rich? Oh, you're kind of all alike. Parasites growing fat on the sweat of the suffering of others. Bold words for a boy but 16 summers. And what, pray tell, have I done to deserve such spite? I only wish to learn the truth behind the disappearance of the Empire's foremost playwright. If that should lead to something bigger, well then, I would be the worst reporter in the realm if I did not pursue it. Yeah, part 1's got a lot of quests in it. Speaking of getting 100% completion, we are getting really close to finishing Vice City. I think the only thing I have left is the main story, 2 assassination contracts, and like all the quests for your different properties. I think is all that's left. We've done all the side content. Yes, we can argue about this now, or we can return to the Prima Vista and report to our army of adventurers that it is time to begin the expedition. I humbly suggest the latter. So they're saying Rabanastra is built on top of Lasalia. Lasalia wasn't in a desert, but I guess the landscape could change in thousands of years. You didn't know there was a time skip. Gotcha. Yeah. You see, it is as I said, brother. Let them come to us. I only know because I played the original, and it's the same game, pretty much. Should we kill them now? Oh, Banga. No, the time is not right. When has that stopped us before? Fool! Do you see that one? Slayer of gods, they call her. Warrior of light. Like, suddenly we have Ivalice races living in the Empires. Are the Empires home to all the races that we've been missing from Ivalice? Other than, I mean, we've had the Viera, right? Okay. Did the Viera come out with Stormblood? Alright, okay. Duty finder to enter the royal city. Well then. Boom. Revealed during this raid, and they came out in Shadowbringers. That's what I was kind of wondering, because I was like, it would be like a spoiler to have them come out with Stormblood, because you'd be able to play them long before the raid was released. Interesting. Is Nova's not on? Unfortunate. It's like if he's not here, he's gonna end up, like, if he hasn't done the raid before. I think he's done the raid before though, right? So he can just join in whenever he gets here. I haven't heard anything from him. Let me see if he's on. Is he on Discord? No, he's offline. So I don't know. I do not know. I guess I have to go on without him. I think he's done this raid before though, so if he shows up later, he should be able to join in whatever part we're at, right? The default push to talk keybind? I have no idea. I'm not on the default one. Hello, can you hear me? Like right underneath selecting push to talk is the thing that lets you set the shortcut. I mean, you can set it to whatever you want. Oh, okay. If you hit the little, like, cog wheel that opens up user settings, I can show you actually. Here. User settings, video and voice and video, And right here, you can change the shortcut to whatever you want. Oh, yeah, 1 second. I'm realizing something. I didn't set it up. Here we go. So that the stream can hear you. Okay, there we go. You hear me?
Yeah, I've never used push to talk before, and I'm using a controller. I'm not exactly sure, because your voice channel now requires push to talk, apparently.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah.
I didn't think I changed that. Huh. I can probably turn that off.
Yeah, if you could turn it off, it's kind of awkward to do this with the controller, so.
I wonder why it's requiring it. Oh, okay, looks like there's a use voice activity permission now. Alright, let's see. Alright, I think you can take off push to talk now. Maybe?
Yeah, okay, that works now. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, when they change the permissions. Oh, it's good to know that that ability exists, because certain people I might turn that on for. Someone comes in here and it's like...
Give me a sec. Push to talk was messing with my controller.
Yeah, using a controller is really hard to use push to talk. Unless you put push to talk on the controller, and then like that button's probably being used for something else. Yeah. So, what are we looking forward to in Robin Oster?
You'll find out.
That sounds fun.
Controller does not want to play nice.
I wonder, like, so does is it canon to say that Robin Oster is built on top of Lasalia now then? Or does nothing in Final Fantasy XIV really count?
I just got a random mid-roll ad.
Oh.
Awkward timing.
I forget you're not a sub. You used to be. I guess you were gifted it a couple times.
These raids can take a little while to get everyone together. Queue.
Yeah, it says average is 11 minutes.
Yeah. Another thing to note for Ravenaster specifically is, like with all the other Alliance raids, the first of the 3 is always super easy and you skip mechanics because it's synced. You're synced to 400 even though the min eye level is like 300.
Okay. I mean, I'm 383 right now. What kind of new mechanics are we looking at here?
Ravenaster, most of them use the standard markers, so it shouldn't be too complicated to figure out. I'll call out the specific ones that are unique as they happen.
Okay. Claire. They're definitely for Santa. These are put here for the express purpose of giving me something to do while we wait. Yep. That's the whole reason for these panels. Clearly. I'm practicing my jumping skills so I can get up that tower later. They put those tables for me. Those aren't planning tables. Those are Warrior of Light stands. I'm the Warrior of Light, so I must stand on a pedestal higher than other people. You know, that is. The game puts me on a pedestal. I didn't put myself there. Now we wait. Let's see, what kind of stuff do we got in this expansion? We're having Nostr, so we're gonna have our Ivalice raid. We're gonna have what's the other stuff? We have something telling us to go back to Azys Law, which is interesting. We got Omega. Shouldn't be too crazy, probably. Oh, there we go. Yay, it didn't take 11 minutes. All right. Chocobocobos. Oh, what is this? Mateus the Corrupt. We're gonna fight the okay. We're immediately going into fighting Lukavi. Waste no time. Ice slaves, huh? This little spiral thing on the floor is interesting. Oh, we got beams attached to people. This blizzard. I want to kill that, yeah. The crap on the ground's gone. Oh, whoa. Excuse me? Where are we going here? Okay. You know, knowing how many Lucavi there are, they could almost be the every fight in here. Like, there's enough of them.
If you get too many stacks of Breathless here, you die, so make sure to walk into an air bubble every once in a while.
But I thought we didn't have to breathe underwater anymore. Oh, we got a boss and then we go into trash after the boss. Okay.
Also, the Ravenaster raid specifically is going to go really quickly because it's a pretty fast way to do one of the steps in the current Shadowbringer's relic weapons. So there are a lot of level 80 players here.
Giant Chocobo squadron attack. The Bonga's plan. Throw Chocobos at them. Oh, chest. Oh, they're mimics. Shit. Alright, second boss. And the Lucavi? Indeed, Hashmal. Alright. Put shit on the floor.
Beware falling towers.
Falling towers, okay.
Also, you see one of the boss's hands here is glowing. Don't be on that side of the arena.
Okay. Good call. Away from that thing. He's got a mana bar. Oh shit! I love how mobile the dancer is. Nice. That was fun, boss. Get more of these guys. Alright. Arched. Okay. And then we all fell to our deaths. The end. Oh, the Garum Scythe Waterway! Nice! More Final Fantasy 12. The sewers underneath Rabanastre. fought Kuklane down here in the game, didn't we? And big flame fire main. Cool. I didn't realize it split up. Am I with the wrong group? Oh, we're all together again. Okay.
It actually automatically sorts you when you start sliding down.
Maybe that's why I didn't realize it split up. My food's here. I'm just gonna have to wait outside for a little bit. I'm busy. We're no longer in Rabanastre. Oh, underneath Garam Scythe. It's interesting that we stop by Garam Scythe just for the look and then we continue onwards to something else. Who is this? Rofikyle. Remember this boss. It's like a chariot thing going on. This isn't one of the Lucavi, I don't think. Is it?
I believe Rofikal is unique to 14.
That explains why I don't remember him. There's like a figure 8. Nice. Ooh, he called in some friends. Go around in a circle maybe? Oh no, there's one spot open, okay. I thought that maybe they were gonna do it like one at a time and they covered the whole area, but it was they didn't cover everything. Got it. Whoa. Aerial acceleration. Oh. Excuse you. Looks like just you and one other person in there, huh? or what? You didn't have as big a group in your little bubble.
Yeah, it locks you in there after they spawn, so you need to try and split it up so you have enough people in for each of the ads.
Okay. I love that you can just stand inside the figure eight. Oh, shit. I'm gonna lock down. Ooh, that guy got hit by that. We're almost over here. GG Rufiko. Ah, to die a good death.
The level 80 players probably aren't going to stop and let you watch the cutscene, but feel free to just stay and watch it.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it. If they want to go on without me and they feel confident, then go for it, I guess. What is going on here? Hello.
Who dares disturb the slumber of Arda Fadalfos, rightful king of Ivalice?
Another new character?
Descendants of House Beowulf?
That's not new.
By my sword shall I banish your souls to the deepest hell.
So are Alma and Ramza supposed to be descendant from the original Alma and Ramza? Is that what they're trying to say? Descendant of House Beowulf? Alright, well here's the end of Rabanastre.
I am Revelation!
Okay, you are covering my screen, that's what you're doing. I have eyes, we have different colors, we have icons. Shit's happening. I don't know. Got boxes on the ground.
Basically, it'll show you a mask and then give you a command either to like turn away or flee or something. And if the mask that was shown was blue, you need to obey that command. And if the mask was red, you do the opposite.
Okay. It doesn't matter what the symbol was, just the color.
The symbol was synonymous with what the command is, so like either turn away or flee.
You are but blood to stain the circle.
I saw the eyes, that was like turn away, right? And then there was almost swords.
Does it grieve you to see the depths of your own weakness laid bare? Maggots! You do not belong in my world. Step into
He's going down pretty fast.
I am the lies upon which you sup.
Yeah.
You will be judged. The world has no place for such wretches.
Okay.
Your claim to life is forfeit.
Oh my god, this stupid like hand spinning up on my head is like rotating my controls or something? What is that?
I am Revelation!
Okay. Don't look. Red.
You will be judged. I am Revelation! You will be judged. The world has no place for such wretches. Your claim to life is forfeit.
Oh my god, I can't get over there because of the stupid hand. I kind of get the idea of how that hand thing works now, but oh my god, that's annoying.
Fool is the dog who bares his teeth before his master.
Fire 4, huh? Alright, Zodiac Thriller, achievement unlocked.
Where am I? This body, it is not my own.
Oh, gods, what have I done? Save me! Ramza! Save me!
How many parts are there to this raid? Master complete. Only 3, yeah, okay. Right, I'll be right back. I need to go grab the food from my front door. Waiting to see if there's a cutscene here. Of course there is. Foresight? Where am I? Father! Ramza, and the Word of Light, yes, I know of you. But you should come to my rescue. Words fail me. A poor playwright, I must seem... Of course. This is like Banga's one job in all the stories, is to like do exactly this. Begamnon? Wait a minute. Begamnon? Really? The term you're looking for is thank you. Upon which note I, Bagamnon, bounty hunter, do humbly thank you, warrior of light, for delivering me this fine gift. Now hand over the aura sight unless you wish to see the desert sands turn red, and be quick. Gajuk here does not have the steadiest of hands. That one! She will bring it to me. Yeah, like, Bagamnon is straight out of Final Fantasy XII, unless it's just the same name. Like, they were saying that Rabanastro's been here for like 1,000 years, so I figured that we were way in the future from 12. But now I don't even know. Is this set during 12? Are we gonna run into Fran and Balthier? Or is it just like all the other things in Final Fantasy XIV where they just throw the character in as an homage and it's not supposed to be the same character, really? Like with Kryl and etc. Yes, this is it, the Duma. And to think we found it so close to Doma, the Duma of Doma. Wahaha. Damn. Bad jokes aren't allowed. Enough, Wagi. We would not have our guests think us underbred. You have what you want, you thieving lizards. Now unhand him. And of course, Abanga always true to his word. I'll be keeping this, though. Yeah, the circular saw weapon. Father! You've only yourselves to blame. If you mislike the thought, you could always blame the gods, not that they're listening. Yeah, that weird circular saw, it's in Bloodborne too, right? The whirligig saw or something? Get up, fool, we're leaving. Like, if you just shot the guy, get up, fool. Dude's just hanging off the airship. You're going to be alright. We cannot see the father's hurts here. Come on, we must get him back to the Prima Vista. Alright, be right back, guys. I'm gonna go grab my food. That's enough, bud. Go play, I'm streaming. Alright, I'm back. Genomus remains deep in slumber. But his breathing is steady, and his fever has subsided. For now, all we can do is wait. I've sent word to Sid, I hope you don't mind. Me realizing my mic is off. He's right. I've done naught to deserve your kindness, yet I am its beneficiary nonetheless. So if I'm to understand correctly, you're saying Orisight does not work to facilitate the possession of a living host by an icon, as was assumed to be the case with Ysael and the Archbishop, but rather absorbs the host's aether, its very soul, and somehow transforms it before returning it to the host's body. If that's the case, then our Charlian allies will need to be informed immediately. But I suppose the real question here is, did you find what you came looking for? The legend would have us believe that Delita Heral, the commoner who would be king, was the sole hero of the Zodiac Brave story. But as I have discovered, there was another, two others in fact. Siblings, whose roles faded from subsequent retellings of the story, a brother and sister by the names of Ramza and Alma. Then, to prepare for this assignment, I pored over every published work on Ivalician legend I could lay my hands on, and nowhere did I find any mention of these siblings. But I did. I uncovered irrefutable evidence that Delita had a close companion named Ramza, who aided him in his rise to power. This in turn led me to Alma, and that I might never lose sight of the truth, I named my own children after these lost players. I'm sorry I never told you any of this, Cid, but you must believe me, Ivalice has never been a mere pastime of mine. It is and forever will be my calling, my purpose. My family's purpose. Go on. The world knows me as Genomus Sin Lexentale. That is but my stage name. My true name is Arislam Durai. What? So he's the guy who's going to write the Durai report? Is that what we're getting at here? Which is what explains that Ramza was really... This is the story they tell throughout Tactics. Okay. Didn't they changed the first name a little bit? Countless generations past, it was my ancestor who penned the Durai papers. Oh, okay. An account of Ivalice and the War of the Lions that details what truly occurred during that turbulent era. You're tired, Father. Rest, I will continue. Long ago, an orphan by the name of Oron Durai crossed paths with both Ramza and Delita. After Delita's rise to power, Oron found himself in the service of the Pauper become king. Following the War of the Lions, Oron believed the people of Ivalice had a right to know the truth of Ramza's involvement, and set about documenting his deeds. When the church learned of his intent, however, they branded him a heretic and had him burned at the stake. The Durai papers were never published. Many existing copies were gathered and sealed away in church vaults, the truth about Ivalice along with them. What was so damning that it could drive the church to do such a thing? The answer to that question can be found in this book, the only surviving transcript of my ancestors' chronicle, copied from an earlier draft and passed down for untold generations. The Grimoire Vice. Alright. With this, my father and I plan to reveal the truth and restore honor to my family name. Forbidden Chronicles, Secret Family Legacy. Not that I doubt you, Genomus, but how do you expect to convince people of all this when, well, nigh every soul in the realm believes Ivalice to be nothing but a bedtime story? By proving that it is anything but. When people see that Ivalice was real, the rest will fall into place. Were it as simple as bringing the chronicle forth and submitting it for review, we would have of course done so long ago, but alas it is not. The dry papers you see were written in High Ivalician, an ancient tongue long extinct. My father, his father, and his father before him labored tirelessly to decipher this tome, but for want of other sources it only made fitful progress. A word here, a phrase there. It wasn't until a recent expedition into Rabanastre turned out several well-preserved artifacts that we were able to translate a small portion of the papers. Then the diary stolen by the Bunga bounty hunters. I'm afraid so. Everything we had learned of the language was contained in those pages. Then we're back to where we started. Not necessarily. We still have the transcript, as well as some few translated passages, and of course my father's impeccable memory. I have come too far to allow a simple setback to deter me from my purpose. I will show the world the truth as if it's the last thing I do. And as Master Garland said, he's a man obsessed, and I fear Ivalice's grip on him will only grow tighter. Father was fortunate to escape Rabanastre with his life, and already he speaks of continuing his quest. Promise me you'll keep him safe, please. Oh, look, oversight. What could go wrong? Okay, part 1 complete. After what I've seen here, I'm all but convinced that Ivalice exists, at least in some form. The problem will be gathering sufficient evidence to convince the thousands of scholars and historians who have based their careers on the presumption that it doesn't. Not that I've ever been one to shy from a challenge, especially when it means the story of that century. If you're in Elheim, then I'm in. If you're not in, well, I'm still in. Either way, you're hearing from me again soon, that much I promise you. Where in the world have you been? Did you not receive Alma's summons? Principal Lexentale's research into Orisight may have finally borne fruit. You must hurry to the Prima Vista before they embark on some grand perilous adventure without us. If you would follow me to the shuttle, good lady. Do they have any voice acting in this? Be handy. Elheim, Lady Marilia. Thank you for answering my summons. Master Garland was kind enough to send for an Archon from Charlian. I thought it only right that you be present to hear her findings. To be frank, summoning Mikoto was more Ishtola's idea. I simply came along to see what light she could shed on this mystery. I am Mikoto of House Jinba, a Doman. Though my years in Charlian have made me a stranger here, you must be Elheim Gilded, fabled liberator of men, slayer of false gods, warrior of light. I thought you'd be taller. Let us speak of the crystal. The Otius, one of but many Orisight shards that aided noble Delita's rise to regent. My apologies. The Odious is no ordinary crystal, even discounting its obvious historical importance. The specimen is more than a simple manifestation of elementally aspected energies. It is rather an ethereal lodestone whose facilitation of both the absorption and transmission of distinct frequency. NRR-type harmonic vibrations have been observed to promote ethereal amplification. The resultant neuroharmonic disturbance allows a highly unique emittance of CPRS waves that instead of radiating outward with a determinate factor of dispersal, instead radiate inward with a frequency so labored, my estimates place the rate of VRT decay at upwards of several centuries. I must admit I lack sufficient varieties to complete a truly comprehensive graphical assessment. A bunch of gibberish. While that explanation may elicit admiring nods from your professors at the Academy, it will earn you only blank looks here. Take a deep breath and try again, and this time in language of those without the echo might comprehend. My apologies, I merely thought... Apologies will see us no nearer to an answer, and a simpler explanation will. Simpler, right. Aether is not only the building block of all things material, but those immaterial as well. Thoughts, memories, feelings, one's very will are all understood to be ethereal phenomena, and can be measured as such. Unlike most crystals, which can only emit elemental energies, Auracite is tuned not only to absorb Aether, but Aether specific to the immaterial. That Aether is then stored and multiplied within its crystalline confines until external stimuli precipitate release. Try again. Under appropriate conditions, a strong will or desire can become imprinted upon Auracite and stored until fomentation, at which time the desire becomes manifest. Fomentation? What my studious young friend is trying to say is that the Odious takes one's deepest fantasies and makes them reality. Ah, yes, that is simpler. You may choose to think of it as a process akin to that of summoning a primal. There being one marked difference, primal summoning requires a supplemental energy source, such as a horde of elementally charged crystals. Auracite, on the other hand, has the capacity to serve as its own source of power. We know from the dry papers that Argoth was never king of Ivalice. He was slain in a battle during the War of the Lions. Argus! Yeah, slayed him twice. Yet, the Argoth encountered during the recent expedition carried himself as if he had been crowned regent. I believe this was merely the Auracite in his possession realizing his desire to rule. Was that boss's name Argoth? I missed that. Damn. I am informed that he uttered the same words over and over again for the duration of the confrontation which unfolded. If that is the case, it is possible that it was not actually Argoth who uttered them, but the Auracite itself. If the dry papers are accurate, Argoth was a weak, petty noble who believed his blood entitled him to power. The Auracite took that belief and twisted it into the abomination we, Elheim, put to the sword. I feel like the story of this one would be very boring if you hadn't played Tactics and 12. You know what I mean? Like, it's just full of references to Tactics and, like, they don't entirely really explain them. You know? So, like I know who Argus is, but, like, if I didn't, I'd be like, okay, Argoth, whatever, move on. Then you were saying the crystal could prove a threat. The Auracite Alma, and not necessarily. Ramza seemed to fare well enough. There is no record of the young regent being manipulated by the artifacts he gathered. In the hands of the just, the Auracite should prove harmless, even beneficial. To paraphrase, it is not the weapon that kills, but the one who wields it. Now, where have I heard that before? Oh yes, it was Emperor Galvus's justification for taking the marvels of Magitech and then applying them to manufacture of arms. Where, after all, was the harm if it allowed him to bring order to the three great continents? You draw an intriguing parallel, Master Garland. The properties of these crystals are so singular. I do begin to wonder if they, like Magitech, are products of science, not nature. That they were created by someone to... But who? What manner of person would even be capable of such a feat? We've only done the first part of Ivalice. We did Rabanastre, Karanova. Welcome. Now that is an interesting question, the answer to which I look forward to hearing. Regrettably, I have pressing matters to attend to elsewhere. Fear not, however, Mikoto's insight will prove far more beneficial than anything I might accidentally contribute. Good day to you all. What I don't understand is, if the Duma was imprinted with Argav's deepest desires, then whose desires are rattling around inside the Otius? I had the self-same question, and thus conducted a thorough inspection of the crystal upon my arrival. The results were inconclusive. Traces of ethereal activity were present, but due to all intents and purposes, the vessel was empty. Empty, but what of the voices I heard? Voices? I heard nothing of the sort. The only voices you heard, Alma, were in your stubborn head. Ramza, why won't you... Shall we speak of voices then? What of yours, Alma? Our resident voice of dissent. You've done naught but question the wisdom of our research from the moment we left Garlemald. Would you put your petty worries above our family's calling? No, I would never. You would never? Then why involve a gossip monger, goody two-shoes, and this flying mole? Please tell me you can see that. Suddenly a Moogle. That's just named Moogle. Am I interrupting? Oh, please do go on. My acceptance into your fine troops' ranks can wait until all have said their piece, Kupo. Guards, get this Mont Blanc. Oh, of course. The name is Mont Blanc, denizen of Dalmascus deserts, seeker of thrills, adventurer extraordinaire, but you may call me Mont Blanc, Kupo. Of course it is. What other Moogle would there be in Ivalice? Dalmasca has long been known as a melting pot for myriad cultures, where minor races such as the Sikh, the Bonga, and the Viera might live in relative harmony with the Hura, the Elizan, and others. Yet there is no record of prominent Moogle population. Most likely because we are neither prominent nor populous. My people are nomadic by nature, ever drawn to the elusive frontier and the freedom she promises, Kupo. A Moogle? Of course I'm a Moogle, Kupo. You think the adorable wings and the fluffy palm would have given it away. Now my mission into the Majestic... I will allow no such thing. The Majestic is the Empire's premier theater company and will not sully our good name by granting refuge to a floating ball of fur. And furthermore, how in the world did this abomination board the Prima Vista in the first place? Why is he got against Moogles? By means of his wings, were I to guess. After his admission to our company, I do not seem to recall race, creed, or allegiance on my list of prerequisites. Do you? No, father. Very well then, Mont Blanc. What exactly is it you call it that calls you to the stage? Our stage. What else? The Zodiac Brave story, Kupo. Never before have I witnessed something so amazing, so moving. Sitting, well, technically hovering there in the audience as the story unfolded around me, I knew I was witnessing something special, something positively transcendental, Kupo. It was then that I realized that I either had to be part of it or go to my grave a bitter and broken Moogle. That's Hurdy. Was this realization before or after you swore you simply had to become the realm's greatest marauder, Kupo? Hurdy, how did you... Perhaps you'd have more success of running away if you ever reveal your grand designs to every other fool you happen to meet, Kupo. Was it not but 2 nights ago that you took up the axe, Kupo? Now here you are professing your passion for the stage before carving even a single notch in your haft? Do you not remember, to he who churns the butter goes the sweetest bread? But how is one to savor said buttered bread if his head is in the belly of a fearsome beast? You accuse me of giving up, when I merely came to the realization that continuing would end in failure. Only through a change of course could I reach my final destination, Kupo. And that destination is what, Mummer? Are you sure it's not Geomancer, Arithmetician, Templar? Do not bother answering, Kupo. We all know you'll be singing a different tune come cockcrow. That is where you're mistaken, Hurdy. I was destined to be a thespian. I can feel it in my fur. The role of Delita was made for me. Made for me, Kupo. Delita, yeah, sure. Kupo, 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 enough! The actors in our company trained at the Empire's finest institutes. They represent the pinnacle of the profession not only in Gardemal, but across the entire world. A vagrant Batmole like you could never even hope to share the stage with such artists, let alone play the part of a hero like Delita. You yourself admitted you were too craven to face a solitary beast. How do you imagine you would fare against a pack of theater critics? A troupe would need proof of valor before it could even consider. Craven? Call me a cheat and call me a cur, but do not, sir, call me a craven. I accept your challenge. Slay but one foul beast on my own hand, and the Majestic Theater Company will accept me into its ranks, Kupo. Wait, I issued no such... You are all hearing witnesses, Kupo. When I return with the head of a terrible beast in my gore-stained hands, you will be the honor bound to welcome me, Mont Blanc the Mummer, into the fabled ranks of the Majestic. Good day. So, Mont Blanc and Hurdy are from Final Fantasy XII. There's also a Mont Blanc in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and A2, I guess. But Hurdy, I believe, is only in 12, right? But it's kind of like with the Gamnon, like it's not really the same one. Like this is definitely a different Mont Blanc than the one that runs Clan Centrino. What do? We do nothing. If that Batmole wishes to throw himself in the horns of a stampeding Zoe, I will not stand in his way. I believe the proper term of derogation is Mole Bat. And I should warn you, Moogles do not take kindly to those who use it. Why must you always put yourself above others, brother? Did you learn nothing from Argoth's wretched example? Mont Blanc would never have set off on this fool's errand had you not made the challenge. If anything befalls my brother, his blood will be on your hands. Elheim, you are the only one among us capable of locating Mont Blanc and preventing disaster. On behalf of my brother, I beg your assistance. Okay, so we're going off after Mont Blanc. My brother can be rather simple-minded when it comes to such matters. Thinking to impress the Warrior of Light and her companions, Mont Blanc would likely choose the scene of your recent exploits to prove his worth, meaning Rabanastre, if I'm not mistaken. Pardon my language, but that Ramza really is an incurable little prick, is he not? How dare he speak to his sister and Moogle in that manner? I couldn't decide which was worse, the things he said or the way the principal sat back and let him say them. But I suppose it's none of our concern. For now, let us concentrate on the task at hand. Finding the Moogle before he does something we'll all regret. Let's say we start nearby. Pier 2, perhaps? Right. Alright. Well, I guess we gotta do this before we can get to, the next part of the raid. Okay. Like, I like that they have these like Ivalice and near raids, but I feel like the story is just a cluster trying to like fit in all these references and then maybe have some semblance of a story left when they're done. The Falcon Porter tells us that he's set to a traveling blacksmith away to Yangxia, not a Bell Pass. How would that be of interest to us, you ask? Because said peddler of iron and steel is seen to be carrying a bag stuffed to the brim with, and I quote, albino merle fur and a purple bat wings. Mont Blanc! Now, not that we look like that, Kupo. The quickest route into Dalmasca is via the One River and its western tributaries. If Mont Blanc is bound for Rabanastre, he will seek passage on the Glittering Basin. In Walker's Alliance raid won't be a crossover, will be unique to 14. Gotcha. And so far, I would say that like the raids are actually some of the weakest story in Final Fantasy. They're more like an excuse for the fan service that they're putting into the dungeon, more or less. Alright, so gotta go to the Glittering Basin, huh? All that said, though, I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy Tactics and Ivalice in general, so I'm with it. I do kind of want to continue the main story right now is my problem. I think that's my issue right now. It's like, I want to find out what happens next in the actual story of the game, and the raids just have nothing to do with it, you know? Like, we just liberated 2 countries from the Empire. What's the Empire gonna do? You know? I doubt they're just gonna be like, oh, well, I guess we lost those 2 countries and they killed, you know, like, the prince. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll just let him go. Plus the Asians are, like, whispering in the Emperor's ear. That can't be good. This also reminds me that we have to still do Tactics Advance in A2 at some point, right? Still on the list. Tactics Advance is coming up soon. After we finish, after 9. Excuse me. After 9, the next one's Tactics Advanced. Oh, I died. Whoops-a-daisy. Freaking red chocobos and their meteors, huh? I'm paying enough attention. Wonder if he kills them, do I get credit? Probably not. There are 50 plus red chocobos on the field at the same time. Everybody spam your AoE! Spam your AoE! Oh my god, though, there'd be meteors everywhere. Let's see. Bottoms up nightlife is open. Come party in Aether's LGBTQ plus community. Adamantoy Shirogane Award 24 plot 16. What in the world? They're having some kind of party. Someone opened a nightclub in one of the residential wards apparently. Oh, I'm sure there are, yeah. I think most MMOs have some kind of role-playing community, right? I used to play on an RP server in World of Warcraft for a long time. Alright, let's pay more attention this time. Better. Mont Blanc, what were you thinking? Have you any idea what you put your brother through? He's been worried sick. Both Herdy and Ramza were right all along. I'm a failure, a flop, a flailing, flapping, foppish failure, Fupo. How could I play the part of a hero? I cannot even ruffle the feathers of a single measly bird. The audience would see right through me like the spineless jellyfish I am. Now wait, Mont Blanc, not everyone can be a hero. Not even most heroes. Yes, the bards sing of the man who deals the final blow, but what of his cadre of loyal companions? You think Delita united Ivalice on his own? You think Elheim here was alone when she liberated Alamigo? Yeah, it's a very different Mont Blanc than the one that's in Tactics Advance or 12, for sure. You're never alone on the battlefield. He's the leader of Clan Centrino in Final Fantasy XII, where you get all the hunts, and he's also like your right-hand man in the clan that you form in Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. He kind of shows you the ropes and teaches you about the world that you have found yourself in. Since Final Fantasy Tactics Advance is sort of like an isekai. Never alone. You're saying you'll always be there for me? For Mont Blanc? I think she was speaking metaphorically. Let us not dwell on the details. The day is saved, and Mont Blanc has escaped sans scratch or singe to show for it. We shall return to the Prima Vista before our luck runs out. That sucks. We're gonna spend like half the night just reading the quest. Hopefully it won't be much longer, Caranova. We'll see. Oh, look who it is. Please, this ship is a place of peace. Release my sister or you'll answer to me. When the cat's away... Put that damnable thing down, Ramza. You're not helping matters. We have no quarrel with you or yours. We only seek in finding our leader, Begamnen. You seek our help. You who threatened to kill my father, you stole his work and made fools of us all. Never. Silence, Ramza. They have Alma. We'll hear what they have to say. As I said, we have no quarrel with you. We only did what was necessary to secure an audience. We surrender our weapons and offer you your journal as an act of good faith. Alma's dress looks like they spent a lot more time on it than everybody else's clothes. This is rather a lot to digest, but your claims do coincide with what we have learned about the Aura site. You're saying that Crystal did something to our captain. After being emptied of Argoth's will, the Duma sought that of another to sate its appetite for Aether. You're saying the crystal ate our captain? Not his body, no, only his soul. His soul? Tell me what in your opinion was your leader's deepest desire? What was it he longed for above all else in the world? Why waste your breath reasoning with these lizards? They showed themselves for the beasts they are when they put a knife to your throat. First mole bats, now lizards. This one's tongue is pure poison. Rams is a racist. Boy calls what he pleases. Our past failings, we deserve no better. Your failings? 30 summers have come and gone, yet not a night goes by that I do not take wake and sweat at the memory. We were fusiliers in the Dalmascan army stationed in the royal stronghold at Nalbina. Nalbina Fortress was reputed to be impenetrable. Its fall to the 4th Legion proved a turning point in the Imperial campaign, dealing a crushing blow to Dalmascan morale, ultimately making the beginning of the kingdom's end. So we're saying Dalmasca fell to the Empire 30 years ago? But Gamnon was our captain, and once it was clear the day would not be ours, Prince Rossler, commander of the garrison at Nalbina, tasked him with one final mission. So this is not set very long after 12. Our unit was to escort His Highness's twin sister, Princess Ashelia, away from the fortress and thence to safety, but things did not go as planned. Holy crap. How long is Final Fantasy XII after the fall? It's gotta be like... I still remember the words she uttered as she lay dying in her captain's arms, but a stone's throw away from her Grimside waterway drains into the sea. Even as the fog of death descended upon her, she smiled and told us, the very people who had failed her to survive for as long even as single Dalmascan stood, our nation would never truly perish. Whoa, they've changed the story. Alright, so in this version of Final Fantasy XII, Prince Rossler tasked Bagamnon of all people and his Bonga brethren to smuggle Ash away from the Empire, and Ash died? So this is an alternate timeline, yeah. I mean, the other thing is, like, they're setting this like right after the Empire takes it, and by using Prince Rossler and Ash, this isn't a different Empire. This isn't a different fall of Rabanastre, but they're saying Ash died. Also, I mean, in Final Fantasy XII, they're being taken over by the Arcadian Empire, not the Garlemald Empire. So it's a different empire. But, But it should not have been us who survived. By failing to protect our charge, we betrayed the princess and her memory and brought shame upon our race. So yes, we are not but cold-blooded lizards deserving of whatever scorn you deign to heap upon us. So this isn't set far in the future from Rabanastre. It's just some weird alternate reality where it's sort of Ivalice, but not the same one that we played in the other games. Okay. I think we may safely assume a deep-seated hatred towards the invaders of his homeland, coupled with self-loathing born from a sense of powerlessness. The darkness that lurks in the heart of Bagamnon is a little different from that which drove Argoth, the self-same emotions that were to nourish the Duma. Stop speaking in riddles, Charlian. She's saying your brave captain will eventually turn into a monster, or rather, more of one. Garlean lies. And so instead of the Arcadian Empire, it's the Garland Empire, although they're very similar. What they say is true. If we do not find Begamnon and the Duma soon, none of us are safe, present company included. Like, could you imagine Prince Rossler putting Ash in Begamnon's hands to escape the Empire? That's so weird. You have any idea where he might have gone? Any at all? Also, Mont Blanc is very different, yeah. Wait, look at this. Something has been added to the final page of my journal. Then the captain must have put it there. Only he had access to it until we found it in the pack we left behind, that is. Is this Dalmascan? Indeed, it says Ridorana. The lighthouse? Why would he write that? And in the old man's journal, no less. There's a place on the Volnard Sea, far to the south of Rabanastre, where the ocean tumbles into a gaping maw more than a malm across. The Ridorana Cataract. Legend would have us believe it is the entrance to the Hell of Water. Many a scholar seeking to prove otherwise has descended into the chasm, some even by airship. Not a one has returned. I'm also thinking, so assuming that this was Final Fantasy XII and we just changed the name of the Empire and it's in the timeline that they gave us, that would make Sid, right? But in Final Fantasy XII, Sid was still, you know, an Imperial who was super good at technology and stuff, but he was actually like a bad guy, right? And Balthier was his son. So assuming this is Sid that like took a different path in life and like left the Empire and never had a son named Balthier. So Ash and Balthier are both gone. I don't know. I must admit to knowing little of Ridorana, save that which Lady Makoto shared with us. Before we expend valuable time and resources traveling to so remote a place, I must review my notes and see if there is any mention of the Abyss. We shall send for you as soon as we learn aught of interest. Okay. Ridorana is proving to be quite the enigma. With every answer comes countless new questions. This may take longer than I expected. But you are doubtless eager to know why I requested your presence. Our resident dramaturge mentioned there was something he wished to ask you. As my work here is far from complete, I wondered if you might not indulge the man while you wait. The worst quest in the game? Oh god. There's few so loath as to take their rest than ventures without a quest. For shorn of work to give them worth, they soon become a source of mirth. The adventure will find me in time. Oh, but it has, my friend. It has. My colleagues tell me that if one in this land ever needs an item fetched, that you are the woman to speak to. Why would they tell you that? Yeah, if you ever need someone to get something for you, ask the Warrior of Light. They don't have anything better to do. I find this philanthropic compulsion fascinating. And so, in the interest of research, into my next play, let's say I seek to put said compulsion to the test with a really long fetch quest. Is that what he's saying? Assuming you're game, of course. Bring me a bottle of wine. But not just any wine. Make it rose themed and make it Eorzean. I've had my fill of bitter blends offered here in the East. Where to start? Oh, if only there were some port where thirsty Eorzeans went for their wine. Wine port? You would surely be there speaking with its foremost blind Lalafelian Vinter, and not here with me. Alright, so I know exactly what NPC is talking about, but why is the Warrior of Light even deigning to take this quest? Go fetch me wine, hero. His own damn wine. I have other things to do, man. I liberate countries. I don't get wine from you. Wine from halfway across the world? What is wrong with you? Go to Wineport. Imagine whoever made this quest over at Square. I'm gonna make a quest about how the Warrior of Light loves fetch quests. I just want someone to slap them when they came up with the idea and be like, who told you that was a good idea? Who said that anybody likes fetch quests? Who hurt you as a child? Like, what is wrong with you? Soy and spice sprinkled with a subtle, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce that. See, with the little thing under it. Of the steppe. You have traveled far, my friend. What is it you seek here in Wineport? How do you know what the steppe smells like? You've never been to the steppe, haven't you? Just like hang out here all the time. Little blind man. Do you have people come by and say, ooh, you smell interesting. Oh, I'm from the steppe. No, the steppe people don't come here. How do you know what the steppe smells like? A rose-themed wine. You'd be hard-pressed to find a wine that did not display some hint of rose. We can assume that your client was not referring to a desired bouquet, perhaps a name or a label or a bottle. Yes, I seem to recall a certain vintage of rosé sold in crystal bottles with a single red rose on the label. Alas, I have nothing as rare amongst my personal stock. As for who might, well, there's always Beerglint, I suppose. Yeah, why? Why am I doing this right now? Only an uncultured fool would select a wine based solely on its bottle. As it happens, however, said fool would be undeservingly rewarded with one of Vilbron's best wines, were he to select a vintage Suviaja, whatever. Not that your client would have the palate to properly appreciate its depth and complexity. But let us dispense with the pretense you are the fool in question and do not bother to deny it. A fool who has aimed too high. One of your standing could live 1,000 lifetimes and still not amass the wealth required to purchase even an empty bottle. Dude, I'm the Warrior of Light. What is with people on this quest? Oh, price is no object, is it? Ha! Even if I believed you, and I do not, I have a reputation to uphold as a vintner and a viticulturist. Were my clients to learn that I was peddling the choice of my collection to the likes of you... To the likes of... Who are you? You're a wine... What the... What is with all the disrespect in this quest, man? I would never do business with me again. Dude, you could put up a sign that says, I gave wine to the Warrior of Light. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Plus, I've already gotten wine from you before in the past. Ah, alright. Just to see the back of you. What? I shall do you the kindness of directing your steps unto one who might take pity on your plight. Assuming he does not find amusement in it, Master Gagaraju of Costa del Sol, but do not tell him I sent you. What is with all the shade, dude? Like, it's not like we just met. I've done quests for you in the past. You're a dick. What the hell? You were a dick then, but at least you're... whatever. Head over to Gagaraju. Maybe he'll remember me. We've met him as part of the main quest and as part of the dancer quest, right? Yeah. Now, not only am I on a fetch quest, but I'm being insulted through it. Like, what the hell? All I did was liberate the continent from the Empire, you know, nothing big. You fetch my wine. Whatever. Elheim, it's always a pleasure, and I do mean that. Thank you. My ladies informed me that you come inquiring after a bottle of Sud Vian, whatever. I told them that they must be mistaken. Not even you would be foolish enough to think that you could. Oh, but you are serious. Elheim, you do realize one could purchase an entire estate in the mist for the price of a single bottle, or 5 estates for the price of 5 bottles, which happens to be the number of bottles that I have in my collection. Now, I am not an unreasonable man. Let none say the venerable Kigaraju does not value a friendship as deep as the one you and I have forged. So in my boundless generosity, I offer you the opportunity for a trade. A bottle of the vintage for a mere magnum of fine Dalmascan. Never heard of the stuff? And I thought I was talking to a fellow connoisseur. I pity the poor vintner back in Wineport who will have to educate you. Until then, my friend, the offer stands. God, we have to go back to that guy again? Ugh. Oh, at least it's to the blind one. Yeah. Gotta have wine and cheese if you want to fight Titan, dude. I mean, that's just a rule. I don't make the rules. I just... First, Sud Vianja, now Dalmascan wine? I'd interest you in an aged Lemonson red instead. No, I thought not. Well, then you have your work cut out for you. There was a time Dalmascan wine was a fairly easy to procure, yet even here in Vilbrand, but that was before the Empire raised the better part of the kingdom. Vineyards and all. If there's any surviving bottles, it would be those that were exported before the Imperial invasion. Over 30 summers passed, though I've not encountered any in a decade or more, even at auction or in private hands. Collectors are covetous creatures. If one were to somehow acquire a bottle, there is little chance he would willingly part with such a treasure, which leaves only those who brought over by a few Dalmascan refugees who fled to Eorzea. Okay. Which just happens to be here. Okay, whatever. Why is this in the middle of the Alliance raid quest? Like, what is this random wine quest? Like, did a patch come out and then all you got was this random fetch wine quest and you're like, really? And then you had to wait for another patch to actually get the next boss? Or, you know, dungeon? I'm dressed. Can't sleep. They won't let me. The midgets won't let me. The buzz and they scream. Okay. You want me to kill the midget? Oh, I'm gonna soothe them. Okay. There. I know you. You were here before. You sent away the midgets. They came back though. They always come back. They mock me. Tell me I can never go home. I just want to go home. I cannot stand it here anymore. Is this guy Dalmascan? How do we know that? Are we gonna soothe him again? Oh, we're gonna comfort him now. Comfort. There you go. Wine. My wife loved wine. We would drink a glass of Valence every night before sunset. She would always keep the cork. I always thought that odd. What good is a cork? Toss it in the midden heap along with the bottle, I'd say, but she... Oh my god. But you find several empty bottles of wine among the rubbish. One in particular calls out to you. Alright. So it's like we just go find the local wino to see if he has the right bottle, then we grab an empty bottle to take it back to the venter, so the venter to go, oh my god, that's the stuff. For us to go back to this guy again to have him be like, oh yeah, I'm Dalmascan, you didn't know? And then he'll have just a bottle just laying around in a box or something, and then we'll take that bottle back to Kikaraju, who'll give us the bottle we actually want. And this is just like a long, drawn out, like, why am I doing this? I'm supposed to be the hero of, like, this entire continent, you know? Like, why is this random person making me get him wine? I don't get it. It's not like it's a side quest. That's, you know what I mean? How's dressed? Hope your visit did not disquiet the poor soul. So, you've brought me an empty bottle. Ah, but what is this? The cork remains in place. That is most fortunate. If an adequate seal was made, there may still be traces of the wine within. May I? Flamboyant yet elegant. And thought-provoking blend of kukuru bean and cinnamon. Just a hint of... is that rosemary? A veritable kaleidoscope of both opulence and refinement. Long has it been since I last encountered a bouquet of such complexity, and yet I recall it as if it were yesterday. Without question, this bottle once held a Dalmascan Le Monde red by the name of Valens. I think that I would have the opportunity to experience it again after so many summers. But I suspect Master Gagaraju will not be satisfied with a sniff as I. Now one without scruples might see an empty bottle as a basis for a ruse. And Hancock randomly shows up. One man's ruse is another man's keikaku. Keikaku meaning like plan, you know, or stratagem, right? All according to keikaku. Over the years, I have had numerous dealings with the Lord of Costa del Sol, and while he is many things, an expert on wines is not one of them. Why is Hancock here? Are you following me, Hancock? Not that it would matter if you were. Men of his standing invariably find more joy in boasting in their acquisitions than consuming them. In all likelihood, Master Gagaraju will never even open the bottle, rendering the provenance of its contents practically irrelevant. Ah, but where are my manners? These forays back to western climes always bring out the barbarian in me. It's a pleasure, Elheim. Lest you wonder at my presence here, my employers see promise in the Hingen wine trade, and desire the establishment of a viable route twixt east and west, and I am come to see their plan to fruition. But returning to your dilemma, I believe I may be of assistance. I just so happen to have on my person several samples of Hingen wine made with grapes similar to those found in Dalmasca. For a close acquaintance, I would be more than willing to part with one that she might fill her empty vessel. Ah, but that would be unjust. As a maker of wine, I cannot allow it. Master Gagaraju has cozened more of his clients than he can count. How do you think the man amassed his fortune? By playing fair? Would that the world were thus, but I am here to tell you it is not. So it is decided then, we shall employ deceit as our morally justified means to have a happy end. Wait, this is a fool's errand. Then let us be glad our quarry is a fool himself. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must go and tell the gentle citizens of Wineport why they should be drinking Hingen. Good day. Oh, really? We're going to deliver the fake? Oh my god. Okay. There's no option to go look for a real one, so we're just gonna, you know, we're the good guy. He probably will never drink it. It won't even matter. It says, like, we're the people that are going to get these bottles that he never drinks to use them for ourselves. It could be us that ends up with this bottle one day. I don't know. We're the Warrior of Light. We can't track down a bottle of wine? By the gods, you actually found one, a bottle of Damascus wine. Oh, we must uncork it right away. Oh, God. Yes, a lush bouquet of herbaceous dignification coupled with earthen undertones and so forth. In short, the very epitome of a Dalmascan red. Yes, you have outdone yourself this time, Elheim. And a promise is a promise. Ladies, the bottle of Sudvianja, you please. Why is there wine with Kate Sith on it? Kaishi. Take whichever you fancy, except for the one with the rose. That's my favorite, or whichever you fancy. We need the one with the rose. Okay. Well, that just goes to show you, kids, lying works. The moral of the story is it's okay to lie to people as long as they're bad people. or some such thing. Is that the quest over there? Oh, it's the airship landing. Yeah, we gotta do that. Okay. We'll get over here and he'll be like, this isn't the right wine. You've been tricked. That'd be funny. Alright, I got your wine. They say a rose is a rose is a rose, so tell me, adventurer, is that a rose in your pocket or are you simply here for small talk? A bottle of Ventus Sudvianja. You never cease to amaze. But what is most amazing is your impeccable sense of timing. Today marks the 12th anniversary of the day I met my dear wife. And if there's one thing she loved more than wine, it was roses. Would that she were here today to... Ah, but I jest. My wife is very much alive. In fact... she's been here with us all along. Darling, would you care to join us? For me? Oh, how thoughtful. But did you forget the most important gift of all? Of course not. You guys are just gonna drink the wine that's the super expensive wine that I traveled halfway across the world for? Like, what are we doing here? What? Bacon bread, the perfect companion to a perfect wine for my perfect companion. Oh, darling, I think this might be our best anniversary yet. That played out better than I imagined. I suppose I have you to thank for, adventurer. Though it was the bacon bread that sealed the... Ah, yes. Is that Principal Genomus I hear calling? Perhaps he's made some progress with his research and requires your assistance. You'd best not keep him waiting. Useless time-wasting bull. Alright, let's get back to the quest. Here, go waste 30 minutes and come back later. I hope these past few turns of the sun have proved as productive for you as they have for us. We have much to share. Ridorana is the name of both the massive gap in the southern Valdinard Sea and the lighthouse once manned by the Royal Damascan Navy to prevent ships from succumbing to the cataract's currents. I stress once manned, as the tower has lain empty since its candle keeps abandoned their post after the fall of Rabanastre. But if Ferris Sirius offers any indication as to what can befall a lighthouse in the absence of its caretakers... Ah yes, but the real question is how all this ties in with Ivalician legend. A cursory examination of the Zodiac Brave story reveals no mention of a Ridorana. Yet it seems foolish to assume that a name cannot change in the centuries since the tale was writ. So I thought to cross-reference texts on moderate Ilzabardian history with our translations of the Dry papers. And after an exhaustive re-examination of my ancestors' notes, I discovered that there was not a single entry on Ridorana. And while I mentioned that the Valdinard Sea was abundant, I found no reference whatsoever to any cataract or lighthouse within its waters. Ramses' discovery prompted me to examine the mystery from a different perspective. What if there were no mystery at all? What if, at the time of Delita's rise, the chasm did not yet exist? So are they going to say that this cataract is caused by the fall of, oh, that city that went beneath the water or whatever in Tactics? I forget the name. There is more, but only a visit to the lighthouse will enable us to confirm our theories with any certainty. If that were the case, I would expect that to be the final part of the thing. It's interesting that in Tactics there was a magic city of Garland, and now we have the Empire of Garland. Anyways, the Ridorana Lighthouse lies far from civilization. You would be wise to provision for the trip here in Hingashi. I am prepared, of course. Yeah, Muland. Muland sunk like beneath the ocean when Ajora died, back long before Tactics. So during Delita's time, it would have already have happened. Like you go down to the dead city of Muland or whatever at the end of Tactics. That's where the final boss is. Alright, the lighthouse. That's a cool looking lighthouse. Built it on the edge of a waterfall like that. It's a big lighthouse. Something is very wrong here. Mayhap it is best if we split our fellowship into two parties, one to delve into the tower's depths and one to observe from afar. As acting expedition sub-leader, I appoint you captain of the first. You may use this spyglass in aid of your search for the missing lizard. Well, thanks. Damn it, brother, where are you? Alright. Ridorana Cataract. Like, this is just a massive building. I don't even see where the light is on this lighthouse. This is clearly meant to be more than just a lighthouse. This location appears to offer adequate view. Climb up and scan the area for any sign of Begamnon. Find Begamnon. Oh, okay. Oh, we gotta actually... Okay. Interesting. And that's our guys that we started with. Maybe there. Well, he ain't exactly Waldo, that's all I'm saying. You found him. Let me see. He needs our help. Prince Rassler, Princess Ashelia, I know you cannot forgive me. Nor should you. It's all my fault. I could not save you. I could not save anyone but myself. I'm so sorry. Begamnon, wait! Uh-oh, we're going all Imperial on them. Traitors, have you no pride? You treat the very men you laid waste to our homeland. You're mistaken, brother. There are no Imperials here. We've come to help. Bit. I know what I see. My own kin sided with the enemy. How dare you stay my audience with the princess? The Duma. It hasn't, Kupo. It's showed him what he wants to see. Oh. Upgrade. Witch! Murderess! Haven't seen her in a while. Rams is doing a lot of work back here. Gunfire? Ooh. Begamnon! So this is the end. Uh-oh. Recite the words, satisfy the covenant, relinquish thy soul unto me, and be granted that which thou desireth most in all the world. Sword in hand, a warrior clutches stone to breast. Look at me, brother, look at me! In sword etched he his fading memories. Don't you die, not yet! In stone his tempered skill. We promised we'd all go together when our time came. You can't leave us here. My sword attested, by stone revealed. Yeah. Okavi? That light. Where have I seen it before? Oh no! Which one's this gonna be? Bamfrit? Oh. Ooh, the arm. Okay, we'll fight him in the raid. Whatever you're doing, you need to leave the lighthouse right away. Right away, do you hear? Why? It is as we feared, the Megamnon's soul is lost. Much as I wish it were otherwise, I fear Megamnon is beyond saving, yet we cannot suffer that which is left for him to become a distraction. Father, is now not the time to abandon this quest? We are meddling with forces beyond. Enough, Alma. We adults are talking. While Elheim was searching for the lizard, I inspected the area of exposed foundation at the base of Lighthouse. And? You were right, Father. The lighthouse is built squarely atop the ruins of what can only be the clockwork city of Goj. Okay. Okay. The what work city of who? According to the Zodiac Brave story, the clockwork city was a metallic metropolis wherein airships, automata, and other technological marvels of the age were first conceived. Little is said about its location, however, save that it was far away. So here's the really big problem with the story here, Minus. This story is putting us squarely in the time period of Rabanastre, Princess Ashe, the Empire taking over. And it's putting tactics long in the past. When in Ivalice, the timeline's the other way around, right? Like, Final Fantasy XII is far in the past, and in Tactics they're uncovering like airships and shit that are buried under the ground from back during a time when people had already discovered airships. They didn't invent airships in Tactics, they found them. At the beginning of 12, the Empire did think Ashe was dead. Yeah, I know. But I'm saying, like, Tactics comes long after 12, not the other way around. They've got the timeline backwards. Little is said about its location, however, save that it was far away. While the Jirai papers do not say a great deal more, they do mention that the land upon which the legendary city was built was severely limited, an inconvenience that forced its inhabitants to build up rather than out. Which led me to ask myself, what if the reason land was limited was because the land in question was an island? but that still would not explain the emission of the cataract. It is inconceivable that the authors would neglect to mention so prominent a landmark that had existed. And then I found it, an alone passion regarding Goj's fall. While the particulars are missing, it appears the city was abandoned after an explosion left half of it in ruin. I believe that this explosion may have undermined a portion of the seabed. It need only have been a small area at first, one that could well have gone unnoticed during the Exodus. As time passed, however, the waters would have continued to wear away at the rock, slowly widening the gap until we have what lies beneath us today. That would explain why there is no mention of Ridorana prior to the present era. Come, Father. Will you not tell them the rest of the possibility that we, the Garleans, descended in part from this displaced citizens of Goj? It would explain how the Empire was able to forge its armies of iron even before the discovery of and application of Allegan technology. It may also explain why the legend of Ivalice has resonated with our people for centuries, despite the fact that the Lost Kingdom was, as far as we can tell, in quite a different corner of the world. An interesting, if somewhat ambitious theory, but to return to your original claim, is your belief that the Ridorana Lighthouse stands atop what is left of... That necklace, where did you get it, girl? It was my mother's. Your mother's? It was my late wife's most cherished possession. Why do you ask? But Gamnon had a talisman he would wear beneath his jerkin. He refused to take it off, even when bathing. He said it was special. I only saw it a few times, but it looked exactly like the one your daughter wears. And? What are you implying, Lizard? That my sister stole it? Or my late mother? Neither. I spoke of their similarity, that is all. Can you believe the nerve of this boy? What are they going to say, that Princess Ash was Alma and Ramses' mother? It was 30 years ago? Could be. Enough, Ramza. Our guests are merely concerned with the well-being of their kin. But what of our kin? What of them, Ramza? Do you imagine our kin be better than theirs in some way, or anyone else's for that matter? I apologize, Father. We have but one purpose, son, and that is to prove the existence of Ivalice and clear our family's name. Do not allow anger or hate to lead you from that path. Now, we have a lost city to explore. Alright. We can queue up for the lighthouse. Yeah, the biggest problem with this is like, not only is this like a weird other dimension version of Ivalice, but like the timeline has been flipped on its head. Because yeah, Tactics is supposed to take place in the future from 12, and 12 is the past for tactics in like normal Ivalice. So they've completely swapped it, which is kind of crazy. Like, I forget how many years. It's like, I don't think we have a great distinction between the time difference between Final Fantasy Tactics and 12. There's like 5,000 years or something like between 12 and Tactics. The average wait time is only 6 minutes on this one. Here we go. People like put all this stuff together. Yeah. So like in the beginning, you've got the Age of the Gods, right? The birth of the Agil, which you don't even really know about unless you pay attention in 12 and get towards the end, right? Mad King Dornius. Prophet Kiltia. Still Trying to Marry Him was built. Dynast King Wraithwall dies in 44 OV. Ondor becomes Marquis. Marquis. Fairham Passage. Bran leaves the village. Alright, Vaughn is born here. Blah blah blah. And then Grimoire of the Rift, like the part of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2 that takes place in old school Ivalice is here. And then long after that there's Tactics. And like we don't even know how far apart they are, but like there's literally thousands of years. Orbo Monastery is built 1200 years before Tactics Advance. Saint Ajora happens like 1,000 years prior to Tactics Advance. Moogles and winged people are wiped out in the Cataclysm. Yeah. That's the other thing. All the other races die out before we get to Tactics. There's just humans in Tactics, right? Oh yeah. But the point being, like, 12 is definitely before Tactics, though. Oh, what does this symbol mean? Oh, this means I'm queued up for something? So my current guess right now is that somehow Bagamnon is dumb and Ash didn't die, but she escaped and she married this guy, and Princess Ash had 2 kids named Alma and Ramza, and then she died, and that makes these 2 the heirs to the throne of Rabanastre. That's my current theory right now. Were we to liberate Rabanastre from the Empire as well, as the great liberator that we are. Although, yeah, if this were 12, that's what we would be doing. But with no Balthier and Ash dead, I don't know how likely that is. In Final Fantasy 12, they're digging up the airships. I mean, in Final Fantasy Tactics, they're digging up airships from the time of 12 in like archaeological sites. And that's like they're rediscovering like machines and technology like airships by digging them up in like ancient ruins. Yeah, we have no tanks and only one healer. Only 5 DPS for that matter. We just have like no one in this group so far. And we've already hit 6 minutes. So much for the average wait time. But hey, it gives me a chance to eat my food. So that's a positive. I don't know why I'm surprised about the timeline discrepancy. Like everything in Final Fantasy XIV is just like fan service and an homage or a cameo that is like it's that character but it's not that character, you know? And like and the story has changed. They did it with Crystal Tower, they did it with like everything that they've introduced, like that Kryl. It's already like 11. So I think after we do the lighthouse, I might call it a night for Final Fantasy XIV. If the quests continue to be as long as they are, we're not going to get through the third one tonight. So maybe we'll do the lighthouse and the wrap up cutscenes and stuff, and then we'll save the rest of the Final Fantasy Ivalice quest line for Wednesday. And maybe we'll switch back over to Vice City and keep working on our 100% run because we're getting close to the end on that one. Man, no tanks. Only one healer and no tanks. Come on. Watch, we're just gonna get a bunch of people all at once. That'd be great. It's crazy to think that after all these months of playing this game, we're only 8.25 levels away from capping out. We're coming up on the final expansion. You know what? I feel like we should spell that way. Like, English is weird. Every other language that I've worked on trying to learn is so much simpler when it comes to like spelling and pronunciation than English. We just have so many exceptions and weird rules and just, no, that's just the way it is kind of things in English. Thank God I learned it first, I guess, because like got all that out of the way as a kid. Learning other languages isn't as bad as that would have been. Yeah, it's because English stole like half of its words. Yeah. It's true. So it's like this one's pronounced like it's in German because we stole it from the Germans, and then this one's pronounced like it was in French because we stole it from the French, and then this, you know. Or there's other language are like it's pronounced this way because you know that's those letters, and that's the way we pronounce those letters. So I was Deadshire was watching another streamer, and they're like watching Kitchen Nightmares on stream and like commenting on it, and like, you know, I see those reaction videos and stuff on YouTube all the time where people somehow get away with like watching copyrighted things as long as they don't put more than 10 minutes of it in there and blah blah blah, free use or what you know, copyright rules. But like on Twitch, just watching a TV show, apparently like Kitchen Nightmares and Hell's Kitchen, people are just doing it, and just those two shows, like for some reason, it's like Gordon Ramsay gave them the okay or something. I don't know what the rule is, but like they're just watching it live on stream. Like literally, the show is on the screen, and their head. Man, we are going to be waiting on this one. We still have no tanks and still just the one healer. And we've actually lost some DPS since the last time I looked. 13 minutes in. This is rough. Maybe I should go find some other quests to do while we're waiting. I don't really want to get into anything else tonight. I just want to finish this dungeon. I don't want to waste the whole night waiting though either. Gotcha. I don't want to go grind fates. That sounds boring. Oh my god, 45 minutes? Really? That sounds like a super boring stream. Maybe I should just get Final Fantasy. I should go get Grand Theft Auto ready. Let's start playing Grand Theft Auto. Ugh. So this is why you need like a guild or a group or whatever to just do raids together on the regular, because like waiting for a queue for anything like this is just painful. I don't know if I want to wait for this right now. No tanks and only the one healer. Oof. Yeah. I know I don't have to pace. I didn't really want to do anything else tonight. That's the thing. I wanted to do this dungeon and then go play Grand Theft Auto. They don't include people grab via roulettes. Interesting. I'm just worried I'm gonna go do something else. I'm gonna get like started on some big quest line that I don't really want to do. I don't know what these quests are. So this one's just doing a dungeon we've already unlocked. They made me dress up like a monkey. What? Why would you do such a thing? Ah, yes. The sludge. That looks like the ooze from Ghostbusters 2. What in the seven hells is going on here? A veritable sea of condensed aether. Our precious has been busy. What villainy is this? Oh, Maker Stormer. How's it going, bud? You still around? And slumber sweet have I slain since mine offspring's war with man did end. Yet I could not choose but to stir at this abhorrent stench. Have care, mortal, for within this great hollow lieth Omega. Long have we known one another, our history spanneth eons and stars. Oh gods, what's happening? Long has he known Omega. Hey, look at that cute little chocobo. I thought Omega was like the machine built by the Oligans. Has it got a primal stuck up in it? That looks like the summon chocobo, you know what I mean? Chief, get out of there! Oh. You're not dead. Apparently not. It passed straight through me, as if it were some sort of illusion. Tis one of Omega's creations. Omega is a weapon wrought in a place beyond the reach of thy kind, capable of weaving aether into life. That serpent is yet unfinished, but doubt not that it will become a corporeal threat ere long. Well, whatever it is, it's gone. Oh, this peculiar thing remains. What? Kind of reminds me of like the Chocobo Mystery Dungeon Chocobo. If it looks like a Chocobo and quakes like a Chocobo, I'm thinking it's probably a Chocobo. Nova has a wind-up alpha, so I guess its name is Alpha. You named your Chocobo Garnet. What? The way it quests isn't unlike a chocobo. It looks more like a stuffed doll to me. It's definitely a chocobo, trust me on this. The ones we Lalafels ride are all about this size, aren't they? I suppose. Alright, let's go with chocobo for now. The mistress's blessing extendeth not into this creature's soul, then. Very well. As this matter concerneth Omega, I shall speak with it in thy stead. Elheim, aren't you going to introduce me to your knowledgeable little dragon friend? Oh yeah, it's just Maekar Sormer, no big deal. What? The Maekar Sormer who fought and fell at the Battle of Silvertear Skies? And here I was, content to be traveling in the company of just one legend, without wishing to offend you, hero. The Father of Dragons does have something you do not, that being relevant knowledge. There is much we can learn from him. Little and less is known about Omega's origins. It first appeared in records dating back to the Third Astral Era, before the Allagan Empires reached its zenith, and it said records had but one thing to say: Omega activation successful. In the centuries that followed, the Allagans employed rapid technological development, but there wasn't nary a further mention of Omega until its capture of Bahamut. Its existence is a mystery among mysteries, a tale among tales. 'Twas always assumed the Allagans built it, but I had no reason to believe otherwise. But now Maekar Sormer tells us that it's not even of our world. Just so, it haileth from another star. More than that I will not say. I have spoken with this being. It telleth of a strange plane beyond this hollow, excuse me, wherein did reside from the moment of its creation. For reasons unknown, it was ordered to fight, yet being weak, it chose us to fight instead. It chose us flight instead, and thus crossed over into this world. Ordered to fight by Omega? Why in the Seven Hells would it do that? To put its creation to the proof. You would know more? Go forth and look upon the truth with your own eyes. Wait, you're saying we should jump in? You have naught to fear from the fall. The hollow hath become a portal into Omega's domain. Once there, this being shall guide you. Servant of Hydaelyn, fate bindeth me to Omega. If it be thine intent to pursue it, I shall lend thee my strength. We're gonna go to a Chocobo mystery dungeon, guys. Or Final Fantasy V, where Omega came from. So, you, really can show us around inside the hole, can you? Quack quack. Yeah, I figured they aren't. I was just getting the quest done. Well, I doubt any of us imagined things would come to this, but the Father of Dragons has given us his assurance. Let us take our investigation into the Yawn. I have already apprised Jessie of our intent and instructed her to have our engineers on standby. Since we have no way of knowing what awaits us in there, I need you to be ready for anything, are you? Alright. So there's a duty for the next part of that. Did that. Mary Mirror. Sunny Mirror? Oh, Sunny Mirror. Making friends. You know what we may have to do? Like, we're not getting anywhere in this queue. We're going backwards. We're down to only 4 DPS. So, like, literally, we only have 2 people in the queue with us. Maybe we need to wait and do this on Wednesday. And, like, I'll just start doing the main story. Like, patch 4.1 MSQ, you know? while we queue. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's the end of the day. So here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and end this queue, and then on Wednesday, as soon as we can get everyone here, we'll party up, we'll queue, and I'll just keep doing the 4.1 MSQ, 4.2 MSQ, etc. while we queue for these really long waits. So we'll like get into the queue and I'll start doing quests. Most of tonight was just trying to get through the quest of the Ivalice raid, you know, but like this one, the quest will probably be shorter. Okay. So 8 o'clock on Wednesday, we'll get the three of us in here. We'll queue up for the lighthouse. I'll start doing the 4.1 quests, which is Arnvald's adventure here. We'll queue up. I'll start working on these while we wait for the queue, and we'll just keep doing that as we go through all the raids. Basically, that's how we'll split the time between raids and main story. But for now, I think we should just go ahead and call it so we're not just sitting here all night. Like, we're already almost been here 30 minutes waiting on this queue, and we're not making any progress on it. So I'm going to switch over to Grand Theft Auto. And if you came here for Final Fantasy, thanks for watching. If you're here for some Vice City, it's about to do it. So be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.